guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you're already subscribed. Today's video is going to be very different from other videos that I've filmed. I'm mostly recording beauty and fashion videos or vlogging, which this kind of looks like I am, but I'm not. I am sitting in my boyfriend's truck, but I'm on my way to the store right now. But I really had nowhere to record, so I'm just recording this in here. So today's video is gonna be my opinion based off of the controversial issue that's going on in drama, might I say, between Tati, Westbrook, and James Charles. If you watch those YouTubers, or you're always in the beauty community gossip, or you follow other influencers that are associated with them, then you probably know what's going on. So I'll just sum it up for those of you that don't know what's going on. James Charles made a video promoting the brand Sugar Bear Hair, and if you don't know what those are gummy vitamins. I have them. I really like them. They taste really good. But he indicated that it wasn't an ad, which it did indicate on the video, #ad. He indicated that he didn't get paid for it, whatever. So he promoted the sleep vitamins, right? This was at Coachella. Tati goes and films a live Instagram video talking about how hurt she is and she feels so betrayed and this and that. And then uploads a full-on 45-minute video pretty much exploiting James Charles about everything nobody knows about James Charles. So this small issue of him promoting another brand turned out to be a big blow up of dragging James Charles down, is what it seems, right? So I watched the whole 45-minute video. It was really long. I didn't skip through any of it. I literally sat through it and watched it. I saw James Charles' apology video, which I couldn't really tell if it was sincere or not. It was probably the slowest he's ever talked. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's not long. I saw PewDiePie's opinion on Tati's video, and then Gabriel Zamora, who involved himself in prior drama of last year's beauty guru drama of Manny and Laura Lee and all that, Jeffree Star and stuff. I thought to myself, you really shouldn't be involving yourself in other people's business, but he only did because he did bring up that there was a situation that Tati talks about where Gabriel was actually present at the time that it happened.
Oh no, because the Seattle situation, I can completely debunk, because she said I was in that kitchen, okay? I was in that kitchen, and she's excluding certain information that was said in that kitchen. So I find it really fascinating. And I'm like, oh no, just don't lie on me. She brings up, you try to trick a straight guy. She was there. That Seattle boy, she knew exactly who it was. The Seattle boy then goes into James's DMs. Like, I was there. James was telling us this exact story in person. Homeboy slid into James's DMs. Homeboy was like, I'm down to cuddle. Like, cool. He was bi-curious. Like, apparently everyone's bi-curious. He wanted to come up. He cuddled with James. Like, why aren't you stating, like, why is she saying all that? What we were talking about, James was telling us about that situation. The guy ends up telling him he's not bi-curious. He's not really interested in men, but he still wants to be friends and blah, blah, blah. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. James is like, I don't need friends. Like, you came to cuddle. Like, I thought we were gonna, you know what I mean? Like, that's the situation. And we were telling him, it's like, you have to be careful because people can flip the switch. They can try to make it seem like you da-da-da. James is like, how? Like, I have text messages. I have the DMs. Like, he has everything. That's why I'm like, what? What do you mean, like, predatory? That's why I'm like, no. Don't say that shit, because people really go to jail for that, okay? People really get sued for that.
So I'm basically just gonna give my opinion about what I think and how I feel it should have been handled. Comment down below if you disagree or if you do agree with me, or just give me your opinion if you've seen the videos or if you've heard about the situation, because I want to know what everybody else thinks too. I did a poll on if you think that Tati was over dramatic about the sponsorship, and the majority of you said no. I think about 4 or 5 of you only said yes, that she was over dramatic. I've seen videos of him and his creativity. He's a really good artist. He's good at what he does. I know that he's 19 years old, so he is still an immature teenager based on what I've heard about him. So I watched Tati's video, and as I kept watching it, and I watched it multiple times just to really understand what she was saying, she mentions from the beginning of how her and James came about, you know, their relationship, how close they became. And what really bothered me was the fact that she had mentioned that Gabriel Zamora said that her and James' relationship was transactional. And she was super offended by that, talking about how she never asked for a penny from James. She never asked for a favor to be returned. Like, she never asked anything of James Charles. But yet, she goes on and on and on about how she did this for James and done that for James and made him this and made him that and gained him this much money. And I wouldn't want anybody to exploit the amount of money I'm making off of a brand. And that's what she did. She talked about how James only got so much of a percentage from the Morphe deal, and she thought that he deserved more. And so she did her little magic and ended up putting millions into James' bank account and him gaining a higher percentage from the Morphe brand. That's not something that needed to be said, and that's not something that needed to be addressed. Nobody asked about that. Nobody knew about that. Now everybody knows about that because she went and exposed that. Much talks about James being pretty much a sexual predator, forcing straight men to have sex. She talks about how she's constantly told him, you know, don't get involved with guys like this. This could like ruin your career. You can get in trouble, blah, blah, blah. And now it's just funny to me how if she knew that he was a so-called predator, why all of a sudden, why are you talking about it now, girl? Because he doesn't promote your brand, now you want to all of a sudden speak on what you've been knowing about, being a bystander about? No, that's stupid. I'm sorry. If you knew he was being a predator towards other guys, you could have spoke up and said something. But yet you want to exploit it out on the internet because you are over here sitting crying about your vitamins. She says, like, oh yeah, I was going to go over to his house, but I decided not to because I felt that this was something that I needed to publicly speak about. Publicly expose somebody about something you knew about? That doesn't even make any sense. That makes you look stupid because now all of a sudden you want to go and expose somebody just because your brand wasn't promoted. It's just dumb. That makes no sense to me. Your ass should have just fucking done it privately like the grown woman that you are, regardless of if your life is all on the internet, regardless of if your life is all public. Who can handle this like an adult? And went over to James' house and said, look, let's talk about this situation here. And then address the fact that you don't want to affiliate with him and be friends with him. And it's crazy because I never knew about Tati, and they claim to be so close, yet James Charles never spoke about her, which I think is also something she was offended by. Like, she constantly, she posted this in the beginning of her video too, always talking about him, promoting his code and inviting him over to do videos, and went to her wedding and did her wedding makeup. Like, he did like one video with her and Jeffree Star, but never really talked about her, and she was offended by that. It seems like she just needs to be noticed as the person that made of James Charles, is what it seems like to me. In all honesty, if James never would have made that video of promoting Sugar Bear hair, I swear this video she made never would have happened. I just don't believe it wouldn't have happened. Because if he would have went and promoted her brand, her vitamins, you know, she'd be like, oh yeah, good job, James. Like, you know, thanks for doing that for me. You're promoting my brand. it was her #1 competitor, she was so hurt by it. That's literally like saying, if I had a friend that had a palette that came out, you know, and I had another friend that also came out with another palette, and I promoted this friend's palette, that friend would be so mad at me about promoting my other friend's palette just because I hadn't talked about theirs. It's really stupid, and she really could have just done it privately. A lot of people are giving her praise for it. A lot of people are disagreeing with her and siding with James. I'm not siding with either one of them, but I feel like she really didn't need to go there. I do feel bad for James because she exposed him like that. I do feel bad for her because James really didn't talk about her. Like, James really didn't expose her as someone who he was really, really close to. Never knew they were close until she talked about it. So that I can see where she might be hurt. It's about the waiter that slid into James Charles' DMs. He posted a video of his own explaining his side of the story, whatever, admitting to him talking to James, going over to his hotel, but then also telling him that he does know that he's straight, and James just kept on and on, whatever. But at the end, I found it interesting that he included a video of him FaceTiming James Charles, and because I guess James talked to somebody else named Gage, who's also straight, and I guess there's a side of his story, but he's not involved in this whole drama. But he basically went and FaceTimed James Charles to have him admit that he was talking to both the waiter dude and Gage, and I'll include the video that I captured.
Gage at the same time.
Sure, what's up?
I'm just gonna jump straight into it. So, I just kind of watched the Gage thing,
Yeah.
and I kind of, in all honesty, I think you were talking to him at the same time you were talking to me.
Yeah, we were. It's like, why do you care?
It's just, I mean, how would you feel if I was talking to and hanging out with someone else while you were talking to me, right? That's.
You probably were.
I wasn't.
But it's like, if you ended up saying, oh no, I'm straight, I was just curious, but I know for sure I'm straight, I'm not into you, why take the time to FaceTime him or have the care to be concerned about him talking to another guy if you're not gay? That's just how I see it. I mean, it's just logically thinking, it just doesn't make sense to have cared. And he says, well, wouldn't you, how would you feel if I was talking to somebody else? Well, I was just curious, and I know that I'm not gay, so why would I care? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, one more thing, guys, that, because the clip that I made got deleted on accident. Again, like I said, I'm not taking anybody's side. I do just think that Tati didn't need to handle it the way she did. But with James peer pressuring, or if he's harassing, however he's handling the way that he approaches men that are straight, because he does talk about how he's attracted to straight men, if they tell you no, then you need to stop. You need to understand that, you know, when you're talking to these men who are curious, you can't get your hopes up in thinking that they're going to be gay at the end of it, you know? And I think that's what he really got offended by. So what he does isn't okay, and how she addressed it wasn't okay. So the whole situation's fucked up. I'm done talking about it. That's my opinion. Good night.